Are you ready to improve your English listening and speaking skills and take your language abilities to a whole new level, where every conversation feels natural and every interaction becomes an opportunity to learn and grow? And have you ever felt frustrated when you struggled to understand native speakers in real-life situations, or perhaps desired to express yourself with more clarity and confidence in day-to-day conversations? And if so, then welcome to Batam, my English podcast, where in today's episode we will immerse you in a detailed, robust exploration of real-life experiences that cover everything from ordering food at a busy restaurant to negotiating prices in a bustling market. From overcoming initial miscommunications when visiting a foreign city, to getting the hang of idiomatic expressions that textbooks rarely capture. Because if you have ever felt that the structured rules of traditional study do not fully prepare you for the dynamic nature of everyday conversations, then you are exactly where you need to be, as our podcast uploads fresh daily episodes filled with genuine stories, useful vocabulary, creative expressions, and practical techniques that transform how you listen to, understand, and speak English naturally. And consider the story of my friend Daniel, who once traveled to New York with excitement mixed with nervousness about speaking English. And on his very first day, he walked into a small cafe, confident in his language skills, and requested, "Can I have a croissant and a coffee, please?" Only to be met with a confused look from the cashier, who responded with, "Sorry, what was that?" Prompting Daniel to repeat himself, his anxiety rising with every moment until another customer interjected and clarified what Daniel meant by saying, "He means a croissant." And in that split second, the cashier understood, providing Daniel with an unforgettable lesson that sometimes it is not enough just to know the words in your head, because the natural flow of pronunciation and the subtle nuances of accent can completely alter the message. And this experience emphasizes why listening to real-life conversations is so essential for building confidence. Because the more you expose yourself to authentic English, whether through podcasts, films, or live interactions, the more you begin to internalize the rhythm and tone of the language. And then consider another scenario involving my cousin Emma, who moved to Canada for work. Despite her academic success and a firm grasp of textbook English, when she joined a new team, she discovered that even though she knew many words and phrases, the rapid pace of speech, the use of slang, and frequent interruptions left her struggling to follow simple conversations. And during an important meeting, her manager casually said, "Can you touch base with Mike about the new project?" Leaving Emma utterly confused as she wondered if she was supposed to physically make contact with someone, until she learned that touch base simply meant to check in or discuss something briefly, which, though a seemingly small phrase, dramatically transformed her understanding of everyday professional dialogue, teaching her the invaluable lesson that listening for context and understanding the intended meaning behind idioms and colloquial expressions is key to becoming fluent. And as you listen to these stories, you will also gain practical tips. For instance, when encountering a new expression, do not simply memorize its definition, but rather actively listen to how it is used in conversation. Repeat it aloud and incorporate it into your own speech, as practice is the ultimate route to natural fluency. And now imagine yourself in a different scenario. Perhaps you are at a hotel and the receptionist asks, "Would you like a wake-up call?" And if you have never encountered this phrase before, you might mistakenly think that they are inquiring about your life priorities, rather than simply offering to call your room in the morning. highlighting again that everyday English is full of these subtle yet critical expressions that only experience can teach. And this is why at My English Podcast, we stress the importance of continual practice through repetition. Whether that means practicing short, polite phrases like, "I'd like to order a coffee, please," or "Could you repeat that, please?" which, while simple, are the building blocks of confident communication. And moving on to another real-life story, let's talk about my friend David, who dreamed of working in an international company and, after years of studying English from books and grammar exercises, he moved to London only to discover that real-life conversation was far more challenging, with his colleagues using phrases like "grab a bite" at lunchtime that left him momentarily perplexed, because when one of his coworkers said, "Hey, David, let's grab a bite," he hesitated, unsure if grab referred to some literal action rather than simply meaning to get some food. And although he eventually smiled and followed his colleague to a nearby cafe, the experience made it abundantly clear that despite knowing countless vocabulary words, the language experienced in natural settings unfolds at a different pace, and thus demands continuous listening and speaking practice. And David soon decided to make a conscious plan by listening to English podcasts every morning while walking to work, and engaging more with his colleagues at lunch, even if it meant asking repeatedly, "Sorry, what does that mean?" until clarity emerged, and little by little he became more adept, until one day in a meeting his manager remarked, "All right, let's wrap things up." A phrase that once would have left him bewildered, but by then he confidently understood it as a signal to finish the meeting, revealing to him that the most important lesson for anyone learning English is that the words you learn in isolation from a textbook are only half the battle. The true mastery comes with being able to understand and function in the fast-paced, nuanced, and unpredictable environment of real conversations. And now imagine you are traveling to an English-speaking country for the first time, arriving at an airport where you need to pass through immigration, and as you approach the officer who asks, "What's the purpose of your visit?" You might freeze if you're not accustomed to the common travel phrases, wondering if he is asking about your job, your tourism plans, or something else entirely. But if you have practiced with typical travel conversations, you would confidently reply that you are there for tourism or to visit family. And indeed, a few months ago, my cousin Sophia traveled to Australia, feeling confident in her English until she encountered an immigration officer who asked if she had anything to declare, and the word declare struck her as ominous, making her worry that she might have unintentionally brought something illegal, until after a brief moment of hesitation she politely asked, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" And the officer calmly explained that he was merely asking if she was carrying any food, alcohol, or large sums of money, teaching her that declare in this context means simply to report. And this incident provided yet another reminder that continuous exposure to natural English conversation builds the familiarity necessary to feel at ease even in situations that might otherwise seem intimidating. And when you consider practical areas of communication such as ordering food in a busy cafe in London, you are presented with another common scenario where a barista might cheerfully ask, "What can I get you today?" And if you are prepared, you could simply say, "I'd like a latte, please." And when the barista follows up with, "That'll be $3.50. Would you like any pastry with that?" You realize quickly how essential it is to be comfortable with such rapid exchanges. especially since a friend of mine named Mark had a similar experience while traveling in the United States, where he ordered a latte and was puzzled by the question, "For here or to go?" Because he had never heard this idiom before, although he correctly guessed that to go means take away. Yet the moment left him feeling a bit anxious because he wasn't 100% sure of his response. And after that incident, he began to observe how native speakers in the U.S. often use the phrase, "Can I get a," instead of the more formal, "I would like," and how cashiers typically announce prices with phrases such as, "That'll be $5.50, which, while seemingly trivial, play a huge role in making interactions smoother and more intuitive. And furthermore, these subtle differences in language are exactly why listening to real-life examples is so important, as each instance not only adds to your vocabulary, but also builds up your overall confidence. And as you continue to practice, you start to notice that even making small talk, whether it's with a stranger at a bus stop or someone in a crowded grocery store, is an integral part of mastering the language. Because small talk is the foundation upon which deeper, more meaningful conversations are built. And for example, my friend Maria, who had spent years studying English in Spain, moved to an English-speaking city for work and initially found it daunting to engage in small talk with colleagues or even casual acquaintances. Yet over time, her first hesitant responses like, "How was your weekend?" evolved into confident exchanges in which she would say, "It was good. I went to the park with my family. What about you?" Smoothly prompting further conversation and revealing that the essence of small talk is not to provide lengthy or deeply personal details, but simply to establish a connection through friendly, relaxed communication. And as you reflect on your own experiences, you may recall moments where a seemingly simple question like, "What did you do today?" opened the door to a lively conversation about hobbies, interests, or even cultural differences. And these everyday interactions gradually teach you not only vocabulary, but also the importance of listening carefully, responding naturally, and being open to making mistakes. Because every slip-up is a learning opportunity that brings you closer to fluency. And beyond everyday interactions that occur at places like cafes, hotels, and grocery stores, there are also professional settings where the stakes for clear, concise language are even higher, such as during business meetings or technical support calls. And hear phrases like, "Let's circle back to that," or "Could you please clarify what you meant?" become essential tools that ensure effective communication in a fast-paced, collaborative environment. And for instance, during a conference call, if your internet connection keeps dropping and the customer service representative asks, "Can you please describe the problem you are experiencing?" you would need to explain calmly that your connection is unstable, and his response, "I understand. Let me run a diagnostic test on your line," provided reassurance through clear professional language, teaching you the significance of maintaining calm and clarity even when technology or circumstances fail. And as you practice these scenarios through role-playing, exercises perhaps by recording yourself or engaging in conversation with a language partner, you begin to appreciate the subtle differences between formal and informal registers. For example, when speaking with a colleague in an office versus texting a friend casually, where you might use, "Dear Mr. Smith, I hope this email finds you well," in a formal email, and simply, "Hey, are we still on for dinner?" in a casual text message. And this versatility in language use is something that my English podcast aims to foster through its comprehensive coverage of real-life examples. Be it learning how to negotiate at a market by saying, "Could you do 15 for this souvenir?" Or joining a lively discussion online where people use abbreviations and emoticons to express their excitement about a new cafe in town. And even handling disagreements in conversation by saying, "I see your point, but I have a different perspective. Can we explore this further?" Ensures that you are equipped with phrases that keep exchanges respectful and constructive. And as you listen to our episodes and practice repeating key phrases like, "I appreciate your help. Could you please repeat that? I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. That sounds interesting. And I would love to join you." You develop a muscle memory for common conversational patterns that make speaking English feel natural and unforced. And then imagine attending a live music concert where the announcer's voice, full of energy, calls out, "Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for an unforgettable performance by tonight's headliner," challenging you to match that vibrancy with compliments like, "The energy on stage is absolutely electrifying." Or picture yourself in a quiet bookstore where the clerk recommends a good mystery novel by saying, "This bestseller has a captivating plot and intriguing characters," prompting you to describe your own favorite genres with phrases such as, "I love stories with dramatic twists and richly drawn characters." And through these varied scenarios, from public services like renewing your passport at a government office with precise questions such as, "Could you please provide your current passport number?" to visiting a healthcare facility where clear descriptions of your symptoms are vital, you quickly learn that effective communication in English is not about memorizing isolated words, but about engaging in continuous, real-life conversations, where even when you're alone practicing, you might say, "Today I woke up early, had breakfast, went to work, met a friend for coffee. It was a busy day, but a good one." And as you progress, you eventually start to incorporate details such as, "I have been learning English for 6 months now, and I'm getting better every day." And despite occasional mistakes like accidentally saying, "I would like a coffee with a spoon," when ordering at a restaurant, which may prompt a kind smile from the waiter and a gentle correction, you realize that such moments are invaluable in teaching you the correct phrases and boosting your confidence. And as you immerse yourself in resources such as audiobooks, radio shows, and digital learning apps that provide immediate feedback on your pronunciation, you begin to appreciate how listening to native speakers who use contractions, slang, and varying speeds makes the language come alive with natural rhythm and tone, whether in sitcoms like Friends where characters jokingly remark, "Could you be any more dramatic?" or in more serious contexts like political debates on current global events, where participants carefully articulate their views on topics such as climate change, urban development, or the impact of social media on genuine relationships. And by now you have journeyed through a vast array of scenarios, from ordering food and asking for directions to negotiating prices, from handling technical support calls and participating in lively debates, to taking part in spontaneous discussions at community events. And each of these experiences underscores a core truth: that every conversation you have is an opportunity to learn. Every question asked and every expression repeated is a step toward greater fluency. And even the most unexpected situations, whether it's the sudden announcement of a flight delay due to inclement weather or a heated discussion about favorite cuisines at a dinner party, offer you moments to practice active listening, thoughtful questioning, and clear expression. And as you reflect on these myriad examples, You come to understand that the process of mastering English is not a race to perfection, but a journey of continuous improvement where every attempt, every follow-up question, and every polite inquiry strengthens your ability to communicate effectively, not only making you a better speaker but also a more confident listener. And in embracing these challenges, whether by joining online discussion forums to understand modern slang and abbreviations, or by engaging in face-to-face conversations where nonverbal cues like tone, pitch, and body language play crucial roles, you transform not just your speech, but your very approach to using English, turning it into a living, breathing mode of expression that adapts and evolves with every new situation. And as you build on these skills every day, you find that the barriers between textbook language and natural conversation begin to dissolve, leaving you able to effortlessly switch between formal writing and casual chatter, between technical explanations and creative storytelling, and ultimately, you realize that your journey in mastering English is a rich tapestry woven from countless interactions, each one offering its own valuable lesson, each one pushing you ever closer to the goal of speaking English as confidently and naturally as you think. And so whether you are initiating a conversation at a busy cafe, navigating the complex language of professional meetings, or even simply practicing alone by reading aloud from your favorite books or mimicking lines from movies and podcasts, remember that every word spoken, every phrase repeated, and every mistake corrected is a victory on your path to fluency. A journey that is celebrated every day on My English Podcast, where we believe that true mastery comes not from memorizing isolated words, but from engaging with real-life communication in all its vibrant, unpredictable, and ultimately rewarding forms. And as you continue to immerse yourself in authentic English, listening to the cadence of native speakers as they effortlessly combine rhythm, tone, and meaning into their conversations, you will find that the more you practice, the more naturally you respond in every situation, transforming each interaction, from the simplest exchange at a gas station to the most complex debate in a boardroom, into an opportunity to refine your skills, expand your vocabulary, and build lasting confidence that carries you forward into every facet of your life, making you not just a student of English but a true speaker who listens, learns, and connects with others across borders and cultures. And so join us on this remarkable journey. Embrace every moment as a learning opportunity. And remember that with every conversation you have, every repeating exercise you perform, and every scenario you successfully navigate, you are one step closer to speaking English with the clarity, confidence, and natural flow that defines true fluency. And in the end, it is not about striving for perfection, but about celebrating your progress, learning from every experience, and enjoying the process of living and breathing the language in all its diverse and dynamic glory. For every word you utter builds the bridge between where you are today and the remarkable speaker you are destined to become. And this is the promise of My English Podcast, to guide you through each real-life scenario with detailed examples, practical advice, and countless opportunities for practice, ensuring that over time, what once seemed challenging becomes second nature, and what started as a nervous attempt evolves into confident expression. So keep practicing, keep listening, keep speaking, and let every conversation be a testimony to your growth. Because the journey of language learning is infinite, filled with endless moments to discover, and every step taken with courage and dedication is a giant leap toward mastery, making your voice heard, your ideas shared, and your dreams realized as you fully embrace the vibrant world of English conversation.